Thank you, Minnesota, for coming up and showing up and doing what you need to do to play. I was like, one, we're all getting a Game 7 series, and I was like, I mean, obviously, unless you're rooting particularly for one team or the other, or for one team, you can't be mad at this situation. We all would like Game 7s. We all want more basketball. So that's the winner here. Is us. Give yourself a round of applause. I'm waiting for you to do it. I know you're not gonna do it, but hey, I'll do it for you. Anyway, listen. I was like, this series is basically, I feel like, this game more so than what was it? Not last game, but the game before that, where it was like Anthony Edwards going off and it was still close, kind of. I was like, this is how the series sort of been, where it's really been an actual make or miss lead. I feel like this one was a the defense of Minnesota sort of got back to what it was doing, while the Nuggets also were just missing shots. I think more so than playing bad. I like for instance the first two games with Denver. I thought they were playing bad. This one, I didn't think they were necessarily playing bad. I was just thinking that Minnesota was hitting a lot of shots that they were missing, like the other games. Denver was missing a lot of shots that they've been making the last several games, and That's really more it. Don't get me wrong. There is stuff that I think Minnesota did correct, especially after last game and whatnot. But I was like there were some bunnies that Jokic like. We're gonna take out last game. I know I roasted the hell out of Gobert, as probably a lot of people did. But Jokic was on one in a way that he was just going insane. But even in this game, I was like, he was missing a lot of shots that normally Jokic makes. That we'd be like, oh my god, how did he get the bounce and all that other finger roll stuff? And it was just not. It seemed like they sort of got back to what they were doing earlier when they were just swarming him. Also, letting him just go ahead and just go one on one and not one on one. Wait, let's hurry up and double team. Damn it, he done threw it out. Um, I think they pressured Jamal Murray a whole lot more. Well, I was like they would blitz him. I was like they gave him sort of the Anthony Edwards treatment, but Edwards was decided to stick on him a lot more personally. Uh, which Alexander and McDaniel sort of been doing that. And they still did it this game, but I was like Edwards, I think gives you the athleticism like they do, but he's a bigger bot. Like McDaniels is taller than him, but Edwards is thick. He's a thick boy. So he's able to body Jamal Murray a lot more too. I also think that they also ran up on Aaron Gordon a lot faster and more to where it's just like, okay, he got the ball. It's like, all right, cool, you need to make a move. Well, okay, cool, we're gonna have all right, you want to score, go ahead, score. Yeah, I was like, and I thought that Minnesota, what they sort of did a little bit in last game, what they came out the gates started doing more here was Carl Anthony Towns Gobert pick and roll, to where Carl Anthony basically being a threat that he can be, basically was getting double teamed and he was ready to give Gobert the alley oop. Gobert got to hit make some of those shots, but he did hit enough to make it a threat. I thought that Denver was trying that with Gordon and stuff like that, but it just didn't work effectively, just because uh, you already are guarding Jokic, but Jokic isn't necessarily the one that's dumping the ball off. They were making sure that it would either be that was Gordon really trying to do it, and it's like, okay, cool, we're also going to live with you sort of shooting. Um, yeah, I was like, yeah, I think they pressured them early around the perimeter, where instead of trying to wait, especially like once Jokic gets on the block or like like in the paint, it's like no, they got him up on the perimeter. I was like, they try to get the ball out of him quickly. I was like, I thought it was gonna. I didn't know how the game was gonna go. Cause Porter was hitting shots a little bit. I was like, don't get me wrong, he cooled off, but I was like, okay, if he gets going, then that's sort of different. He can make up in a lot of ways. Cause Gordon has sort of been getting his. I was like, he didn't have like the game that he'd been having, but I was like, he was. But at the beginning, you didn't necessarily like know that, even though they was like up by like 20 around like halftime. But still, it's Nuggets. We know how this league is, shooting three, blah blah blah. We all didn't heard it. So that's not nothing until like basically like mid third quarter where it started getting away, where it was like, okay, this is done, this is a wrap. Um, yeah, I was like, Jokic didn't have a particularly good game either. It was just a okay game. Which, if you also notice, that's how it's sort of been in this series too. The star players, like not even necessarily this series, but sort of also the playoffs too, where like the star player they had a big game, they don't normally follow that back up. Like not saying that they just like a dud, but they just normally don't follow up with that same amazing thing, which it makes sense. Defense changes. I was like, you might be more tired and stuff like that. Jokic did try to come out and start where he was on last time with his dunking and stuff like that. I thought Edwards did a better job of realizing the double team a lot earlier and making the decision real quickly to either shoot, drive, or kick it. I thought last game that by that he figured it out too late, like it didn't matter anymore in the game. But I think he knew what he wanted to do. He just took too long to do it, and he also was going into the double team and away from it. I thought Carl Anthony Towns, even though he got into foul trouble and he wasn't able to go off, I thought he did a better job of dealing with the double teams and stuff like that. Um, I was like, they didn't try to leave Gobert on the island as much, but Gobert did a better job of defending. Not necessarily just like Jokic, but everybody, which that's sort of what our whole thing was, the way he was sort of acting, with where it was just like it's like just stay home. Like you're gonna like Jokic gonna do what he gonna do, but he's making you look dumb doing it. That's the problem. So they did better there, but I was like, I think really is that Conley came back, and I think that does help because, like, they even was talking about how not only he get people in the rhythm, but he could control the pace and stuff. And it's like, yeah, they don't really have like Nikhil Alexander Walker. He played a really good game last game, but he's not a natural point guard. He's not a point guard in that same way. He's sort of a combo guard. Um, but I do also think that helped him playing the way he did in last game in this game. And I also think too that because it was a slow, it like the team like like the Nuggets went up really early and like quick, not like crazy amount of, but they went up early in a way where it's like it felt like, oh no, what happened with this game? But then like for a while the teams were just like they were playing defense, nobody was hitting a shot. That I thought it actually helped McDaniels because they get like he missed a shot, they got the rebound, he was able to shoot again, and he was able to hit the three. And I thought that once he got in a rhythm, that sort of unlocked the rest of the team because they're giving all the Nuggets giving all their defensive looks at Cat and Anthony that the other guys had to make shots. And McDaniels is really the guy that really can unlock it all. Because I was like, now they're sort of going to get his points as a sixth man. Like, yes, you want him to go off, but I was like, but he's fine. He sort of already gets sort of his point, and the kill, so you already know his range and where he's been at too as well. McDaniels is that one because you're not getting no points from Rudy though. That's a luxury. Um, he's the one that opens up. Same thing with the Nuggets, where like if Porter opens up, but I was like, but Gordon been the solid one that you didn't have to rely on Porter in the same way. But you didn't get that from Porter. Jamal Murray is struggling. Um, and the thing is that it's weird with like for instance like with Murray because it's like he he's a hard shot like taker and maker. So you can't. So it's not even like you're like, oh, like it's like those are difficult shots, but that's what he makes. It's not like Porter's getting clean open shot and he's missing them. Um, Even sometimes with like Brown and KCP, they're like their shots are there and they just missing them. Um, yeah, I was like, but I think Minnesota came out with adjustments, which of course they're going to do after Denver came out with adjustments. Um, but I think it's really just that Minnesota made shots, Denver didn't. Like in a real glaring way. Cause you can say that about any game, but in a way that's like, yeah, no, but they actually did. But I will say that Denver, I would like that the defense for Minnesota stepped up back to, like, it wasn't necessarily at the level, but it jumped back up to a good like a good great level of what they were playing. And they also were getting a lot. They were a little bit more energetic, getting like the tips and like the offensive rebounds and things like that. Just giving themselves another opportunity to make the shot, and having Denver scramble, because it's like that's where their defense isn't good, because where they over here got mismatches and things like that. Then in half court where they get to set up and I can't think of it, but like corner you off or whatever. Because I like they do that with Ant a lot, where it's just like if they could sort of corner him toward like the baseline, I was like he's sort of like stuck, where he dribbling too much and doesn't have nowhere to go. Um, but yeah, no, I was like, even though it won't look like it in the box score, even though they're like they won by like I was like by the time the started up when I was still like up by like 30 or whatever. So even though the score of the game is very high and the box score sort of looks a little like off, I was like it was really like their energy and their defense. I think that really helped, and it's going to be intriguing what happens in Game 7, just because I was like the way the series is, you can't even say that Denver's going to come out flat or nothing like that in Game 7 at home. I was like, they'll respond. But the thing is, everybody's still been struggling. Porter struggling, Murray been struggling. Jamal Murray hit timely shots. Gordon's been pretty consistent. They didn't also get none from their bench, and not that that's surprising. Cause I was like, their bench has been solid, but they haven't been. But that's also like something where it's like, yeah, but not numbers wise, for like necessarily. With Holiday and Brown, it's also the minutes they play, like giving quality minutes and stuff like that. And like here, it just wasn't really as there. Um, and I was like, I think Minnesota finally like figured out that they got so many tall dudes, like they got so many big dudes with Anderson, Reed, Towns, Rudy, McDaniel, Nikhil. Like they're all like, and Anthony Edwards, like they're all big body, tall people. Like use it. Um, yeah. I was like, but I was like, but I do think that this helps Minnesota because you know Conley, like he was fine after sitting out the game, and I was like he was making good shots. McDaniel's like finally got in the rhythm. Nikhil has been pretty much consistent this whole thing. I was like Anderson hasn't been particularly good. I was like I he's really sort of just a big body to me, because I'm like he should be a playmaker, but he hasn't really been doing nothing about that either. He had a shot and he doesn't really shoot. He always was like an okay 3-point shooter, and he hadn't even like attempted shots. So like I don't have to worry about you on defense. But everybody else got touches. Everybody got like a little bit more rhythm. I was like nobody ain't go off, but and Edwards is always going to be there. He's at least going to try. So I do think that this helps Minnesota going to Denver, but they already won in Denver, so you ain't got to really have this game to tell them for their chance to win. But I'm excited. I was like it was a blowout, but I was like I'm like cool. We're gonna get this Game 7. We'll see how that one goes. Uh, I couldn't honestly tell you how it is. I was like I want Minnie to win, but I was like what we could get is a Jokic Edwards like going off game, and just seeing who is their teammates to come with them. Because that's what also would have been too, was that Nikola Jokic as like I was like in some of the games when he showed up, and then you're just like, okay, who's coming along? Okay, he putting the thing on his back. Anthony Edwards, okay, who coming along? Whatever, he put on his back. And so we might have two superstars to put on their back, and then we just see if Murray or Cat have the timely like points, or maybe it's McDaniels and Gordon of like the extra, the role players, that gets it going. But anyway, that was a nice game. It was great. It was good until we all was like, okay, cool. I guess we go to bed early. But until then, until next one, out.